invite some entrepreneurs from Thurrock who are going to talk a little bit about what it's like to set up a business. And the facilitator for this session is Chris Burr from Thurrock Council.
Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Chris Burr. I'm just going to do a quick introduction whilst we get microphones and things sorted out. I'm an economic development officer at Thurrock Council. As Carol's already said, in this next session we're going to have a panel discussion to explore what it's like to be an entrepreneur in Thurrock today. Just to give you a little bit of background before we start and sort of lay some of the groundwork. I'm hoping my panellists actually come up at some point. Not sure if anyone's come across this. This is called the Entrepreneurs Index. It's a document published by Barclays Bank in the UK. This particular issue was released in March 2014. It has, okay, maybe it's not holiday beach reading, but I think it's quite an interesting document. It's got a couple of really interesting conclusions or points that I just wanted to bring to your attention. The first is in 2012 and 13, the UK saw a record 7% increase in the number of active trading companies in the UK. So the current total is currently running at 526,446 active companies. So just to put that into perspective, off the back of an economic downturn, we're now ramping up the number of companies that are starting in the UK. When they started to drill down into the analysis of the types of companies, what was going on there, they noticed that in particular in the UK there was a big increase in the number of high growth companies, and that's across all regions in the UK. And these are companies that have an annual revenue of between 2.5 million and 100 million. The next interesting point was, of those companies, they looked at the geographical areas whereabouts these companies were coming from, and they realised that in East Anglia and the other regions outside of London, they were actually growing at a much faster rate than in London. Traditionally, we're often told that that's backwards from what we've been told in the UK, so we're often told that London is the economic engine for the country. In this instance, it looks like, in actual fact, the regions are overtaking you. Sorry, Enfield, but it looks like we're overtaking you in that. So the conclusion really is, certainly the conclusion that Barclays reached, is that the regions outside of London are leading in the creation of new high-growth companies. This is the engine of economic growth in the country at the moment, which is excellent news for Thurrock as a borough, excellent news for our businesses, and excellent news for the people that go into jobs within those companies. So that's great, and I'm sure we're all really pleased about that. However, it only really gives us half the picture. What's missing from your point of view is how these companies start up, who they are, how they go on to achieve growth, how they go on to achieve jobs or provide jobs, what helps and what hinders these companies. So hence we've just had a really interesting panel discussion about the support that's offered. What I'd like to do now is to drill down into some of the experience of the actual entrepreneurs, the actual people that are out there doing this. So not necessarily about you guys, no offence, all doing excellent work in the public sectors in your own realms, but these are the people that are actually creating the jobs in real life. So we're lucky enough to have with us on our panel today Mike Wayans from Team Fitness, Neil Woodbridge from Thurrock Lifestyle Solutions, and Louise Ince from Dotty Hippo Design. I'm going to pass over to these guys in a moment because they're far more interested than me. However, before I do, just to lay out some groundwork, what we're going to do, we're going to give each of the panellists a really quick opportunity to just introduce their company, say what it is they do, how they do it. Then I've got some questions that I'd like to put to them, which I hope are going to give you some information about what's motivating them to start their businesses and how they're growing. Then we're going to open up to the floor for questions from delegates. Once again, we've got the interpreters working extremely hard in their booths and the people with microphones, so if you are asking a question, put your hand up, wait for them to come around, and all will be revealed. So, if you're ready then, we will pass over. There's no particular order, you guys, so who would like to introduce their company first? Oh, so polite.
Ladies first. Hi everybody, my name is Mike Wayans. I own a studio here, basically a fitness studio that I started about 15 months ago. I used to work about 2 years ago for a large fitness company here called Valentine's, which is about maybe 5 minutes away from here. I worked there for about 2 years, and I noticed that a lot of changes in this actual gym. The membership, basically, we had about 4,000 members in that large establishment, and I noticed that there could be improvements to the way he basically handles his clientele that come there. I made a pitch to him. As you know, Duncan Valentine does appear on Dragon's Den, so I made a pitch to him to literally offer to give his clientele about customer service when it comes to that fitness in regards to personal training, the way that knowledge on fitness, the food, and how they literally interact with the actual gym and use all the gym facilities. I had like terms and conditions that I wanted to basically contract with him, which was to promote my brand next to his brand and also to reduce the rent. Unfortunately, he didn't go for my terms and conditions. So with that, I didn't get the actual contract that I wanted. I stayed on about for a month longer, and I was just very unhappy with the way I felt that people were being treated when it came into that establishment. So I decided to leave, and upon leaving, I set up my own company, which I call Team Fitness, basically. With my company, I have a philosophy that I believe in the old ways of doing business, basically, where it's built on what I believe is businesses, when people create businesses or an idea, they're built on the concept as in they actually want to help people. They want to contribute something towards the human race. For example, Thomas Edison, I'm sure a lot of you know, invented the light bulb. He didn't create the light bulb to create a business. He created the light bulb because he wanted to help people see into the dark. I'm sure you all might know the Wright brothers created the plane. They originally created the plane for the fact is they wanted to help people transform from one location to another location a little bit quicker, basically, and obviously turn into a business. With these thoughts of how old businesses developed, I came up with my own concept. That's in the world we're living in right now. I would love to see anyone disagree with me, but I'm sure every single one of you in this room, some time in your life, has done some form of fitness. And I'm sure everybody in this room right now, if I wasn't doing this presentation and I was literally just here, sitting here, I'm sure a lot of you would like to ask me questions about fitness, about nutrition, about how to exercise, about goals you want to achieve. So I decided to build my company on values instead of building it on literally figures and building on getting as much people in as possible, as Valentine's did with 3,000 people. Sure, I understand that business, you have to make a profit, to actually develop your business. But I strongly believe that if you build your business on values, people themselves will be attracted to those values, and that will create a very big loyalty of people, which will help your business grow. So I base my company on what I call our mission statement. So our mission statement from Team Fitness is literally to unite and inspire people through fitness. So just say again, it's literally just to unite and inspire people through fitness. Built on 10 core values. 10 core values. The first value, surprisingly, I didn't notice until one of my clients pointed out that the first core values are actually built on human values right now that we all share with each other. First value is to care for people. By any means necessary, anyone that comes to be a part of Team Fitness, we will care about you to a very long extent. The next one was loyalty. We will be loyal to you. We are not going to pass you along because someone's offering a larger price or because we feel like we can't help you any further. We will be loyal to you. Just to quickly run through it, just so everybody else can have it all. So it's to care about people, loyalty, respect, honor, trust, and to create people's happiness. Those are the first 6 things that we've built our company on, and surprisingly, we've been going for 15 months now, and yes, people come to our studio, train with us. Compared to the price they pay for Valentine's, they are happy to pay the price we basically charge. Now, Thurrock is as well, like you said, developing area, but we're not exactly Knightsbridge. People in Knightsbridge, the city can afford £100 an hour, things like that. Valentine's charge £62 an hour. My facility charges £40 per week. So in a month, if you do the maths, you're paying £160 a month to be a part of my establishment, whereas Valentine's only charges you £62. So we weigh it out as in, because of our values, people are willing to pay the price to actually be a part of us and be loyal to us. yet Valentine's we charge £62. People would rather not be there. So that's just a little gist of how literally building a business based on values can actually work. If people believe in the values you share, they will naturally sacrifice themselves or their income or whatever, basically, to be a part of what they believe is also representing them as well. So,
Thanks, Mike.
Okay. Hi, my name is Woodbridge. I'm apparently a social entrepreneur, which I only discovered a few years ago, because I worked in local government for a few years and was called a maverick, but that turned into a social entrepreneur. Basically what that means is the services that Thurrock Lifestyle Solutions provide, we're a community interest company, yeah? We're a social enterprise which, instead of disabled people being done to by local government, they took control of their services and run them more efficiently for less money and for better outcomes than the local government was able to do. So in 2010, when we started trading seriously, we employed 4 staff. Today, my last payroll was 85 staff. We transferred out all the local authority services into our company, run by directors of people with learning disabilities, and we trade like any other company, but we are much cheaper and more efficient than other people and local providers can do it. Now, the social care industry is a really, really interesting one. It is an industry, people are able to make profit, but for us, our profit goes back to the community in which we serve. We're not a charity, people didn't want charity, my directors didn't want that. They wanted to represent other people and have a good quality of life. Part of people's quality of life is about employment. So it's fascinating for me this morning to hear the things that you guys are trying to deal with in terms of young people facing unemployment. We talk about barriers, and for the people that we support with learning disabilities, you might know them as intellectual impairment, people struggle to find work. Now what we're able to do is we have to act as a bridge between the educational establishments and the employers and the community inclusion that we provide to give people the opportunity to have proper work experience with local employers, which then results in paid work. So we've got quite a good track record of supporting people instead of a life of dependency to be independent and work for local employers. So, and in doing that, we've had some quite amazing experiences, because one of the things that also occurred to me sitting here today, I am very English in my outlook on the world at times, and when I was at school, it was never occurred to me to set up a business. You left school and you worked for someone. So, in the modern world today, what has to happen in Britain more and more, from my experience, is we need to say to people, forget it, don't think about working for someone, what gifts have you got? So we believe that everybody that we support has gifts. So recently, last year, with the help of the local authority, we took on 5 apprentices. Now these were local people who had no qualifications, were not in employment, not in education, and you just see them hanging about grades. But actually, all of them we recognised had gifts. So we went through a process, we took on these 5 people, they did training with us for a year, they were apprentices, they had real experience at working in social care, supporting disabled people in the community. And at the end of that year, they've all achieved the level 2 qualification diploma in social care, and we've given them a job. And that's what it's about for us. We're giving something back to the community, we're employing local people, we're seeing opportunities. And the other last thing to say to you was a few years ago in London, I worked with a guy who had autism, he had an intellectual impairment as well, and was really struggling with his life. And he really didn't want to know, but he knew he wanted to work. And what we did, we got him a bucket, a sponge and a ladder. And I said to him, you now run Clear Vision Enterprises. And what we did was he got a window cleaning round. So he went knocking up and down the street. And because of his autism, he is obsessed about windows. So this particular street in London has the cleanest windows you can imagine ever. He has an intellectual impairment, but he's a businessman and he's got a bucket, a mop, a cloth and a ladder, and that's entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning everyone, I'm Louise from Dotty Hippo Design, and I run an award-winning graphic design agency. And just to give you a bit of brief background, I've been a graphic designer for 15 years, and I was originally working in London for a large advertising agency, working on magazines such as Billboard, Hollywood Reporter, and working on these weekly magazines that needed a quick turnaround of deadlines. And I'd always wanted to be a graphic designer, and I was actually working in the advertising department on the print production side back in the day when it was the 4 pieces of film, not digital. show you again. And so I learned basically on the job. And I was having to deal with the managers in America, having to get these turnaround, the time difference, and work on this design whilst I was learning the classes outside of the work. So I was learning on the job. I was there for 10 years, and I then moved on to a financial company in the city where I set up an in-house design agency. And we set it up from scratch, and I was the head designer there, creative director, and we built up a team. So I had a team of junior designers, and we were working in-house in London. This led to the team growing, and we then created an office in Worthing. And that actually enabled us to move further afield. And this didn't actually work for me because obviously living here, I couldn't commute 4 hours morning, 4 hours back. It just wasn't viable. So I then had the opportunity to set up my own company. It was the perfect time to do it, and it wasn't when I'd planned to do it, but I literally it came up, so I literally grabbed it, set up my own company. Dotty Hippo Design was born. And at that time, I didn't have any business experience whatsoever. I could do the graphic design, I could do that, that's no problem, but to set up a business, I didn't have a clue. I didn't know anything. Who knows? Because as you say, you're working for somebody else for all your life, and then to sort of then take that chance to set up on your own was a big step, but I still did it, and I haven't looked back since. I have to say, it has been the best thing I have done. But I have had the support of my family. My father had 30 years experience in business, in sales and marketing, and he basically became my business consultant, if you like, my mentor, and I didn't have to pay him, so that was an added bonus. So he became the person that I looked to. He guided me, he taught me everything that I know now, and I couldn't have done it where I am, without him. Things like business plan. I didn't know what do you have to put in a business plan. I didn't know the first thing about it. So we sat down, created our business plan, and my goal was I had a 5-year plan, and by year 5 I wanted to have my own studio. So I was currently working from home, keeping the costs down, and as it was, I actually ended up doing so well that by year 3 I moved out, and I've now got my own studio. So I have sort of created what I thought I would, and also winning the awards as well, that helped. But along the way, I have actually received some grants from the local councils. They supply a free green audit, so they came to my home to look to see how they could help with the audit. As it was, everything, I couldn't save any money because I was at home. When I moved into my new studio, I got them back. They did another free audit for me and gave me some direction as to how I could save money, because obviously now I've got overheads, so I've got a lot more to think about, so I need to save money. So any way I can do that, that's the best way. And I managed to get a grant. So I got a grant from the local council, which saved me a lot of money, which gave me the latest design software that I needed, and it has helped me along the way. But I couldn't have done it without knowing about these grants. And one of the main things about setting up your own company is you need to get your name out there. You need to get out and about. You need to let everybody know that you're here, basically. That's the main thing that you need to do when you set up your own business. So how do you do that? I networked. That was the main thing that I did, and I went to every single network group that there was around. There wasn't any locally to where I was based, so I decided to set up my own network group. So a year into my company, I set up the Thurrock Network Group, and we're going strong now. We get 30 businesses coming every single month. They're new businesses, so they're thinking about setting up, or they've been established. And as a group, we all work together. We do business within the companies, and if you're a new business, we can offer advice to anybody, because we've been there, we've done it, we know what it's like, we know the hurdles, and we know things that you probably didn't need to worry about at the time. You don't need to worry about the VAT, you don't know what you need to know about your tax, business rates. So there's a wealth of experience within the group now. So and that's benefited me as my company as well. So I couldn't have done it without a lot of things, and I'm still going strong to this day, 6 years into it. So, and here I am talking to you guys. So, thank you. See you next time.
Thanks, Louise. Thank you, everyone. In fact, I've got a couple of questions, and I know that time's marching on. So, what I'd like to do with these, if we could crystallise these down into sort of one couple of thoughts that people can take away with them, and possibly even implement in other areas, or at least pass on to other people in similar situations. First question is, what motivated you to start your business? So it's just a sort of crystalline thought about what really gave you that oomph to start off with. Anybody want to pick that up first?
Okay, that's easy for me. I'd always wanted to have my own business. From being at school, being at college, taking my GCSEs and my A-levels, and as I said in my brief overview, the opportunity came up. I hadn't planned to do it as soon as I had done it, but it was something that I'd always wanted to do. So my motivation was to just get out there and do it. The opportunity came up, I took it, grabbed it with both hands, and I haven't looked back.
Mine was a frustration with the order in which things were currently done, a belief in my customers and hearing what they were saying to me, and some support from national government in terms of social enterprise and being able to leverage some money in to make it happen.
Yes, my belief, I guess, was simply the fact that I just believed people deserve a better service when it comes to that fitness, basically. And I just saw that a person who was really had it all, basically, wasn't providing that service, and I just thought I can change things. So I took it upon myself to challenge the old ways and recreate a new way of basically doing things.
Next question is about support. So it's about the support that you've received on your journey about starting or creating your business. I guess we take up good and bad support if you've got any examples. Neil, if I suggest you might have a
No, not at all. I wasn't thinking of that. In terms of good support, I think we like national government to stay out of our business completely if possible, but we like to take money from them. So I like free money a lot. So we were very lucky in that there was something called the Social Enterprise Investment Fund, and they liked our ideas and the innovation, so we were able to get our start-up funds from there, and particularly capital money to give us some foundation on which to rest the business. So that was really good. There was some good local advice, as Louise has said, networking heaven, and Thurrock is a very small place, but you can soon find someone to talk to, and advice from the local authority was very, very useful. In terms of bad, to be honest, probably partly due to the banking crisis, but the reality was if you walk into a bank in Grays High Street and say, hello, I've got a great idea, will you lend me £500,000? They laugh at you. I've converted that into 2.1 million now, so I had the last laugh.
In regards to support, I didn't have any support starting my business. I've literally set it all up by myself. I didn't know about funding from the government. I didn't exactly get off on the right foot with the government, with the local council, so I didn't exactly go back to them. In regards to bad experience, the building that I was in, I was refused planning on it twice. The lady that I'm now in partnership with, I'm about to sponsor her kids basically, and also I'm bringing in a few new clients. She wrote a long letter disregarding why she wouldn't want my business next to hers. So I didn't exactly get off on the right foot. So I literally just went about it and said it all by myself, and we're still here, I guess. So it's great.
Last question from me, and then it's over to you guys. So start thinking, what's good and bad about being a young company in Thurrock today?
The good part is that you're in control. You are your master of your own destiny, basically. You don't have to answer to anybody else. It's all down to you. That's the best bit, and it's rewarding. You get the satisfaction because what you put in is what you get out. So that's the good part, definitely. And the bad part is the perception. As a small business, people think because you're small, you're not capable. What we find is we are having to battle with these larger London design agencies that have got a lot more people, but it just because they're a large company doesn't mean that they can do a better job than us. So that's our main hurdle for us is the perception. You say that you're a small business and people sort of think, oh, well, then that means you can't do it, which is rubbish because we've got large companies on our books that we have proved that we've taken them on as clients and we can do the job just as well as these larger companies. So that's our main thing. Lack of office space as a business when you're setting up. There isn't, especially around here, there is a real lack of office space. So where do you go? And obviously business rates and taxes. Bad.
And for me, the good stuff is all about how relatively small Thurrock is. It's 160,000 population, but you tend to find within your networks you're never more than about 2 or 3 people away from someone that knows something or knows someone that can help and support you. There's a fantastic sense of community spirit in Thurrock, which means we tap into that. So a lot of our intellectual property is about having the knowledge to know how to get support. So, you know, if there's something quite obscure someone's looking for, we're bound to find someone that knows someone that can do that, and that is of value to us. And actually the bad side of things is, particularly since the economic downturn, and the reality is because a lot of our funding is channeled through local government, we are sometimes subject to the cutbacks that are happening in local authorities in this country at the moment, which means that there's always pressure on price, which is a difficult thing to deal with at times, because the reality is everyone wants more for less, so that causes us some problems. But the reality is there are ways of negotiating that, and then also at the moment there is a bit of a pattern that's going on, is that there are national providers that gather force and come and snap up little contracts from smaller businesses than ours. And I understand the competition rules and everything that has to happen through procurement, but at times, sometimes that's not a good thing for the local economy or local people.
With me, the good thing I would say is, what I believe, from what I've heard today, a lot of what I'm trying to do is encourage young people to be entrepreneurs. I might not look at it, but I'm only 26. So the good thing about me is I literally can risk everything and know that I've still got a couple more years to obviously learn from my mistakes and basically do something different, basically. So what you guys are doing, I think is really great to encourage young people and just to remind them that, you know what, you can make mistakes, learn from it, and you still got time to grow, basically. I guess the bad thing really is, yes, I'm still young, so I actually didn't know that business is really about people, like how to handle people. Obviously, I've got staff now, and I think that's the biggest thing, like managing people, basically. It's a lot of responsibility knowing that someone's livelihood depends on your decision, basically, on that mortgage, that lifestyle depends on literally your decision for what you think was your business. So being as young as I am, I guess I'm not that wise enough, but I'm starting to learn, and I think that is my biggest challenge, basically, managing people at the moment.
That's brilliant, thank you. Here we go, open to questions quickly, if anyone's got any of those. There are some microphones handy. Any hands? No. In which case, I've got a quick one, which is just a really one-word answer, probably. And if you were going to go and look out for new staff tomorrow, whereabouts would you look to find new staff at your company that you thought were right? Anyone?
Yeah, easy enough. I'll literally look in schools, all the local schools, the colleges. Like I said, with my business, I'm able to basically start from 5. Like we start with 5. We can start now with 5 years old, 10 years old. Literally just teaching them literally about fitness. And like you, I think one of the gentlemen here was saying, I said it's great to try and help these kids develop their skills from young, so they can develop it over the years and transfer that discipline to other areas. So with me, I'll start straight away from the schools and then hopefully build up from there.
Mine is about recognising that the days of putting an advert in the local paper are completely history for us in terms of recruitment. It's not the way to do it for us. Social media is critical. We get a lot of people contacting us through that. And for us, it's about getting out into the communities with the work that we do, and then letting them know and finding the people that are the right people to work with the individuals that we provide.
Okay, what Neil said, if you don't put a job advert in the paper anymore, those days definitely are long gone. I receive CVs on a daily basis from people. We've taken on work experience students, and from that you can see what the students are actually being taught in schools. So again, a combination of probably what both Mike and Ian said. Start with the schools, look on to take on apprentices. That would probably be the next step that we take. And then again, it's people that you meet networking, word of mouth. I am actually a big believer that if somebody can recommend somebody, I would see them first rather than taking somebody off the street, as it were, that's just come along to say, have you got a job? So networking for me, again, getting that word out there and apprentices.
Hopefully that's proved interesting, certainly has for me. I'd like to, could we offer our panellists a round of applause, please? At the same time, I know we're just about to break, but the other thing I was going to ask is perhaps we could give the interpreters who are working away really hard a quick round of applause as well.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, panellists, very much for coming in. It's time for lunch. What I would just say before we leave